Good evening. Welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. And now, for your host, Kimberly McLemore.
All right, good evening and welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring entrepreneurs and women-owned businesses from across the country. I am your host, Kimberly McLemore, the president and CEO of the Women's Small Business Initiative, LLC, and award-winning author. Tonight's show is partnered with ADP, the go-to place to better build and manage your business. And of course, we want to welcome another night of sharing and a wonderful guest. Our special guest is Kim Mason. Kim Mason is the executive director of the Women Cultivating Greatness. She experienced many of the pitfalls of how dyslexia affected her life. Unlike many individuals who suffer in silence and eventually give up on any hope of normalcy, Kim crafted a successful system and taught herself how to navigate in a world that was confusing, one where she was labeled and discounted. Due to the shame associated with her learning disorder, she was determined to share her successful discoveries with other brilliant women who learned differently. Kim took a special need and made it her specialty to offset the stigma associated with learning disorders. She hopes to help people see how to acquire success by moving from despair to success through incremental milestones. Women Cultivating Greatness continues to address a need of supporting women who learn differently, providing monthly classes, fundraising for more opportunities to grow, and connecting with other organizations who assist with career preparation. So without further ado, please help me welcome to my platform, Miss Kim Mason. Hey, Kim, how are you?
Hello. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I am doing very well. Thank you.
Well, it is my pleasure. And like we talked a few minutes ago before we got this started, that it has been some years since I last seen you and had the opportunity to talk to you and find out what's all been going on in your world. So I cannot wait to get and dive into this. But before we do, why don't you tell the listeners just a little more about who Kim Mason really is?
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I am a girl from Texas, well, originally from New York, but moved to Texas when I was 10 years old. And from, I guess, the time I was in the third grade, I really knew that something was different about me, because I wasn't picking up on concepts and processes and things like that like the other kids were. Mm-hmm. And it was very shaming for me because, you know, when you're not like everyone else, you end up being teased and things like that. And so it was just very challenging for me. And I hid what was going on with me and why it was taking me so long to learn, because there was a room at the end of the hall where they put all the kids that were problem kids, whether they were had behavioral problems or physical disabilities or mental disabilities, and that's the room I didn't want to be in. So it was just very challenging to maneuver and make sure that I tried to get the things that I needed in order to learn. And so that's what has been, you know, that's what started my creating Women Cultivating Greatness, which you explained it so perfectly in the introduction of, you know, what we do. We just try to help women who learn differently. We provide testing, and, we provide testing for dyslexia and ADD and ADHD. And then once they determine that they have this disability, we also make sure that a person knows their learning style. That's very important, because if you know your learning style, you have the ability to become an advocate on how information is presented to you, whether you're a visual learner, a kinesthetic learner, a auditory learner, or if you're better with read write. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, and I want to backtrack a little bit here with your story, because your story is unique in a lot of ways. And then yet still, the sadder part about it is that we still have a lot of the same issues today, even during the time that you were back in school, whether it was elementary and beyond. So you're talking about the understanding of knowing that you were different. And when you say you're different, your learning was different. How did you adjust when you realized that you said, hey, I don't want to be in that room where they put all the kids, whether they were good, bad, or indifferent? That was the room you did not want to be in. When did you and how did you figure out the little steps you had to take to keep yourself from being in that room?
Well, I think that kids are really resilient. And so what I did, I leaned on the teachers who I really felt were there to really teach. And it's funny to say that, because kids really do know if a teacher likes them or if they like their job and they like teaching. So I have teachers, my fifth grade teacher, Miss Rabicus, and my sixth grade teacher, Miss McGee, that I will remember for the rest of my life. And at this point, they may no longer be with us, but I know that they were just amazing. And so I would go to them and ask for help and be very specific about what I didn't understand. Then once I gathered all the information, I would take this information home and try to teach myself. And it would be a slow process because I was a slow reader. But so that would be the two ways. I leaned on teachers that I felt really would help me. And then I started coming up with mnemonics and rhymes and games that I created myself that would help me learn, and so that's how I kind of was able to get through school.
Yeah, and the things that you're talking about, that prepared you and helped you, and definitely the teacher piece is probably one of the most important pieces there and elements. And the key thing here that I realize is that the things you're talking about, that, like I was saying earlier, it's really sad to say that we still have a lot of the same issues today with the learning, and not putting everybody in the same box and saying that everybody has an issue, or they all have ADHD, or they all have some type of issue. And there's really doesn't have to be an issue to learn, that everybody has different ways of learning. There's different styles of learning, and not everybody is able to just jump up and say, hey, yeah, I know the answer to everything, or to, like I said, that embarrassment of saying I don't understand, because everybody's boxed in. Because if we don't conform, then that individual has a problem. And then for those who do truly have a disability, that, dyslexia is a disability, that you have to learn how to be able to teach those individuals that there is a way of learning. And here you had to learn it all on your own because of the fear of having to speak up. But then at the same token, you were very smart enough to know that, I can see that this teacher really does care about me and they want to teach me. And now I've got to figure out from there, what am I going to do with this information? And you did figure it out. But as you've gone through the years and you continued with school, and then of course you get on the job, how does that affect you in the job environment? Because there are going to be those individuals that don't have that capability to teach anybody how to do their job. I mean, whether you have an issue or not, there are many people who are like, hey, we hired you. You should come in here equipped. Now figure it out. How have you been able to work in that environment?
Oh, yeah, and that can be very challenging as well. What I had to do was, and it took me many years to get there, to realize that there's nothing wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
That if God made me this way, it must have been for a purpose and for a reason. And so I became a mental health advocate, Kim, because that is a direct link to, people who learn differently, because you're putting yourself down. I spent years calling myself stupid and dumb. And just to realize that if information was presented to me in a kinesthetic manner, which is the best way that I learn is through mentorship and having someone to walk me through the process.
Mm-hmm.
But to answer your question, the first thing that I realized is that I needed to find out what I was good at.
Okay.
And, there are tests that tell you, what skills that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And so instead of focusing on skills that I didn't quite have, like the analytical and the spatial skills and those kind of skills, I focused on the things that I was good at. Like, I am great at organizing and planning and processing information, excellent with documentation. So I can document processes and things like that. And so in my career, I chose project management, and I have been able to be successful in that. I remember for a long time, not so much now, and it's getting better in the state of Texas, they always wanted to focus on, you're weak in this area.
Right.
You need to build this area up. Instead of telling a child, you're great at doing puzzles and figuring out how puzzles could turn into a career. And they say people with dyslexia make great engineers because they can see outside the box in their mind's eye. And, you had mentioned earlier that, there's a lot of issues are still, happening today,
right.
even though I was in elementary school in the 70s. That is true. It is getting better, though, because I know that not all the states, but in the state of Texas, you can request to have your child tested. If you see some things that are delayed or delayed processes, you can request to have free testing completed, and the school districts have to do it for you and provide a report. So, and there was nothing like that, of course, way back when.
Right.
So slowly, but, still there's 30% of people who are dyslexic that don't know it. So there's definitely a gap.
Wow. Yeah. And it's still, a shame that we still hear it in 2023, soon to be 24, that we still have to have these types of conversations to realize that everybody has a different way of learning. Like I say, you don't have to have a disability to understand that we all learn differently. Our intake of it, I'm the type of person, hey, I may sound great, but there's certain things that it takes for me a minute to learn. I hate taking tests, and there's this ability of not being able to remember. It's like, wait a minute now. You've seen that over and over and over, but then you still can't remember certain things. So there's all these different effects that people have, and I think, and for me, in my opinion, I think a big part of it is because there's still that constant conformity. I mean, when you think about what the school systems today, even going into college, they're changing some of the aspect of coming into college, not having to take those SAT tests and other testing, because at the end of the day, now people are they're cheating. They're not really learning anything because they're just checking the box. And so,
right.
How do you really know that person's an effective individual or who has the capability to go into college? Everybody should have an opportunity to go to college, but how are you going to teach them? What time, like you said, do you have in order to teach them properly? What type of teacher is going to be there to truly make sure that these kids are learning everything they need to have. And of course, there's very many, a lot of adults that are still going through college. So that's another process of way of thinking, because at that point as an adult, you have more experience. So there's all these little things that people have to think about in the world of education. And then as an individual, like you said, there's a lot of different things that you had to go through extra and still do today, because it's still a part of your process of who you are. That part never changes, but you continue to improve. So let's talk a little bit more about your actual program, of the women's program that you have in Cultivating, Greatness. And I do know a little bit about it, but I would like for you to talk a little bit more to the listeners about how the program came into existence. I remember the story of it coming from out of your home in a women's circle type program. So talk a little bit about the history of that and where you're at today.
Oh, thank you. Yes, we have it's called Life Skills for Women Who Learn Differently. And it just came because I thought about, if this was available back then, would it have helped me? And so my team and I created a program, and we have a class once a month. And life skills is just skills that the general public should know, right?
Right.
And so I kind of add my twist to it. Life skills that women who learn differently would benefit from. So some of our core classes is like communicating effectively and with ease. I teach the class on Beyond the Limits memory techniques. We have a class on getting it all together, organizational mastery. And when you're organized, you're able to find things, be able to do things. We have a class on, even what did I just read? Understanding reading comprehension and how to improve your comprehension. And then, of course, we throw in some fun classes, which are still life skills, but they're not focused on, women who learn differently. We have one on budgeting. That's something that's very important.
Right.
Building your credit. But our first class of the year is always on learning styles, because we need to show you how to figure out what your learning style is, like I said before, so you can become an advocate for yourself. And then we have classes on stress management and setting boundaries. And I'm just so happy because these classes have been well received and they're growing. We have 100 or more people registered. We'd love to have more, but and so people can go through these classes and get a certificate, and that will I always want feedback, and the feedback has been great about the classes. Everyone who teaches a class is a expert in their field, or they do that. We have the lady that teaches the reading comprehension. She taught for 35 years, and she just retired. And she has like 6 techniques for improving your comprehension.
Wow.
So it's great. Yeah. So we enjoy doing them. And then I also have some type of we have all types of different resources and little things that you can use to improve your studies. a lot of times people who are dyslexic have problems reading, and the lines on the page may blur, or we have a tool that you can use, an overlay that helps you to read. And so we give all of those things free of charge.
Wow. Wow. That's excellent. So let me ask a quick question. So when you have these classes, how many have you found that actually are not, don't have any disabilities, but definitely come in and take the classes because they still need those basic everyday life skills? Have you seen that there's a balance there, or is there like 50-50, or is there more one or the other?
It is. Yeah, it is 50-50 because when we do our advertising and everything through social media and all of that, I make sure that they know what Women Cultivating Greatness is, and that we help women who learn differently. But, you know, several people have told me these organizational tips, I never thought of these, but they made a really big difference, you know, as you know, so it's about 50-50. Not all of them, you know, have learning disabilities, but they're life skills that they want to know.
Yeah,
and the classes are free and open to the public.
Wow. And that's another thing that, you know, with you being able to provide them for free, obviously that, you know, people are always a little bit more interested, but I think it's really great, and it proves the point that we've been talking, you know, here earlier about the fact that, you know, there are so many people who just need to understand how they can understand certain things, how they can figure out what works best for them. And you don't have to necessarily be told that you have a disability, but it's just basic everyday learning, because a lot of this sometimes is bypassing the school systems, you know, and no matter throughout the years, you're finding more and more students. And then even I think more today, the social side of individuals is gone because everybody's into the technology, you know, and just getting up and being able just to communicate is like, you know, pulling teeth today, because everybody wants to get on the phone in order to communicate, and it's not talking anymore, it's texting. Or if their social skills are no longer there because they're not properly able to even be in an environment where they can talk to you face to face. So all these things that you're teaching are something that's never going to really go away. You have to have the capability to be able to communicate with people, no matter what the style of learning it is that it takes for you to do that. And your program is phenomenal. So talk about how do you survive knowing that these classes are free? What support are you getting from the community, and what other support would you like to see coming to your program?
Oh, yeah. And like with our organization is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So any donations that are given to Women Cultivating Greatness is a tax write-off. So we function a lot by the gracious, wonderful support of people. And I do a lot of, you know, grassroots, going to different events, letting people know about the organization. We are applying for grants. We have not won one yet, but I'm really looking forward to that. But we are able to sustain ourselves through contributions and donations. The help of organizations like Walmart and Target have donated to us, like they do many other nonprofit organizations. But and we're very thankful. We have a donation button on our website, which is womencultivatinggreatness.com. And, you know, you get a receipt and you present that during your taxes, and you're able to get that as a benefit.
Right. Well, we definitely would like to see more support from the community, and definitely hope that you can continue to grow in what you're doing. So talk to me and the listeners about any upcoming events that you have.
Yes, we have an event called Women of Excellence. where we will be honoring 7 executive directors, presidents, and founders of nonprofit organizations.
Wow.
I noticed that there were a bunch of different award programs for people who have for-profit businesses. But no one looks at the nonprofits. And nonprofit organizations just changes the lives of the constituents that they serve. And a lot of them are, below poverty level. And so in 2018, we held our first Women of Excellence event where we honored 8 women, and it was amazing. And so we were supposed to do it every 2 years, but in 2020, it was the pandemic. And so we are just really excited about October 21st. It's going to be at the Omni Houston Hotel in the Galleria, which is one of the best hotels in our area, a 5-star hotel. We're going to present awards and certificates from local government and Congress to these ladies who have dedicated their lives to serving people through their organizations. So that website is WCG, which is Women Cultivating Greatness, WCGWomenofExcellence.com. And it has all the information. We'll have a booklet. We have tickets on there, sponsorships, whatever you need. It's kind of like a one-stop shop event page.
Okay. So you said the event page is up and running now so that people can get on there and get their tickets. Excellent, excellent. Now, with this being there locally in the Texas area, will there be opportunity for people to view the event virtually as well?
No, it is somewhat private, but thank you for the idea. I think I may do that in 2 years. But this is a local event, and we're just excited about it. We're excited about it. The group of women that we are honoring are amazing. One of them, the NIHA Center here in the Houston area, is a organization that helps adults with dyslexia. Wow. And so I'm glad that Dr. Tracy White-Whedon has agreed to be honored because her organization they do things differently. They are a lot about reading and adult literacy and making sure that people get their high school diploma and all of that. Wow. But I would say that we're kind of sister organizations that we both help people with dyslexia. So,
right, absolutely. Yeah. Wow. Well, I definitely appreciate you coming on tonight and telling us your story, talking about the program and all the new things coming out. We will absolutely have all this information in the notes section of the your bio and so forth when we absolutely get this out for everybody to review. And of course, for those who are interested, please reach out to Kim Mason. Please ask the questions you need to ask. Even if you want to travel to the event, believe me, it'll be well worth the money and the time to get to the event. So, she can give you all that information, and it'll also be on the website that she has available. So again, Kim, please provide that information one more time, the name of the website for the event, and then of course the name of the website for your business, the exact email address or any other information you want to provide for that.
Okay, so so my name is Kim Mason. It's Mason, and you can check me on social media. But the Women of Excellence website is WCGWomenofExcellence.com. WCGWomenofExcellence.com. And the event is October 21st, 2023. Our general Women Cultivating Greatness website is womencultivatinggreatness.com. It has all of our previous videos of training, and one of the tabs has all of our upcoming classes. So everything that you would need would be on either one of those websites. And, I just look forward to hearing from you guys. And if you suspect that you learn differently, we do free screenings for people who feel like they may learn differently. Because sometimes I could be talking to someone, Kim, and they'll say, that sounds like me. I did that my whole life.
Right.
But like I said, there's still 30% of people who don't know. And when I found out that I was not stupid or dumb and that I just learned differently, it changed my life and my outlook about myself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's a reminder that everybody has to tell themselves every day, because there's so many people, like I said, that we live in a society and community that, if you are different, you stand out differently, then that's a problem. And then we have to remind ourselves we are not a problem, and then it's okay it's better to stand out and be seen and, and be heard than not to be heard at all. So again, I thank you for coming on, Kim, and spending some time with me this evening. And, I hope to talk to you again soon and hear about what you're going to be doing in the future, because it has been a while. But again, I really appreciate you coming on.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right. So for everyone else, if you did miss this, you can always go back and re-listen. But please make sure that you support Women Cultivating Greatness and support Miss Kim Mason. She has a phenomenal program that she's been around for more than 10 years and continues to grow. And she needs your support. But of course, if you want to learn more about this and need more understanding about who you are, don't be afraid to ask, because, as they say, closed mouths don't get fed. Make sure that you decide to step up to the plate and learn for yourself. And again, if you want to learn more and want to hear more, of course, about our show here, we are definitely taking donations. But of course, if you also need some assistance when it comes to business, anything that you need, please just reach out. No, like I tell people, there is no such thing as a dumb question. Reach out to me at Kimberly@WSBILC@gmail.com. Let's chat about your dreams. Let's chat about how we can turn those dreams into goals. And of course, like I said, if you want more of your resource for success, monetary donations to support the podcast are now accepted through Cash App, PayPal, Good Pods Tip Jar, or you can go directly to the website at www.wsbilc.com. And of course, if you want to learn more on how to better leverage your business, as you know, we have partnered with ADP. They have identified 5 primary challenges: hiring, financing, access to growth resources, employee experience, and access to payroll and HR tools. Educating yourself on what's best for your business is free. Please contact our ADP rep, Antonia Nuez Samanigo, and all her information will be also in the show notes. Again, we would like to thank you all for listening to us tonight. We'll be back next week with more amazing guests. Be sure to follow us on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to your podcasts. But until then, enjoy the rest of your evening, and good night.
Good night, everyone. We will be back next Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Follow us on Spreaker, www.spreaker.com/user/WSBI. View our new WSBI website anytime at www.wsbillc.com and on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram.